I was trying to do a verification of employment for a FedEx employee, and boy, that's a booger bear.
Oh, really?
Yeah. They I'd been on hold for right at an hour. So I finally emailed the employee and said, I'm trying to do this for you, but it was an unusual situation where, companies outsource that stuff. And then if that
They
outsource,
outsource the verification?
it's called the work number. A lot of companies hire the work number so that they don't have to be bothered.
Oh,
But it's very expensive for us to have to use the work number. In the old days, we used to send a form over to their HR department. They completed it by hand, returned it. It was all free. But everybody wants their $15 or $75 now. And the work number had that he was on leave. Well, he's not on leave, and we have proof on his pay stubs that he's working. But HR couldn't give us anything. So I'm tenacious.
no, you are. Welcome, Pablo. You're welcome to turn on your camera and unmute yourself. This is a social event, interactive event. Keith, you can do the same thing. Welcome. Please unmute yourself and turn on your camera. The only reason that Tester Tim is muted and no cameras, that's me. I like to watch myself on the iPad so I can see what you see. So welcome to the call. How you doing, Keith?
Doing good. How are you guys?
Doing good. Pablo, are you there? Oh, from Pablo. Thank you. I appreciate it. So
yeah, can you hear me?
I can hear you now. Yes, sir. Welcome.
Sorry about that. I'm actually at the gym listening in as well. So I don't know if you guys want to see me get a little sweaty.
Okay. Multitasking. That's pure multitasking there.
See, here's my face.
Okay, cool. Well, welcome to the call. Keith, Pablo, have either one of you been on these calls before?
No, this is
This is my first time.
That's what I
Same.
thought. I didn't recognize the name or the face. So appreciate you coming. How'd you find out about us?
Go ahead, Keith.
Oh, I've come to a couple of the REI events with you, and
Okay.
so I keep getting the emails.
Okay.
And I was like, okay, let me jump in.
Cool. Cool. And what's your background in the business? Are you new, been doing deals?
Brand new, was a loan officer with Mr. Cooper.
Okay.
And they start laying off in September. So I said, okay, might as well work for myself.
That's right. We've spoken at the Lunch and Learn before, right, Keith?
Yep.
Yep. So the lighting is a little bit dark here, so I couldn't see you real clear, but now I remember when you mentioned Mr. Cooper, I remember you then. So, and your wife's a realtor.
That's correct.
Okay, cool, cool. And Pablo, how about you? New in the business or?
So I'm new in the business. I'm an accidental landlord that ended up enjoying it. I moved from Midland, Texas to Fort Worth, and I ended up keeping the house over there for a while, rented it out, and I ended up enjoying the profit that came with it and helping out the resident I had in the tenant I had in there. But I found you guys through my real estate attorney, Anderson Advisors,
Okay,
and they had the resources of real estate, groups. So I looked around, and you guys were one of them. And my first event with you was last week at the old Pancake House.
okay. Now I remember. Okay, so Anderson Advisors is a great group of people. I've been working with them for many years. They're the ones that created my entities for my real estate investing business years and years and years ago. So, hey, Vicky, welcome to the call. You're welcome to unmute yourself, Vicky, and join us here in the conversation. And you can turn your video on too. This is a social group here, and we like to see what each other look like and just have a little conversation here. Hopefully everybody finds this beneficial today. And I get a lot of questions Let me make sure I got it, yeah. I get a lot of questions about this topic, especially from new folks, but even more so now with such a rapidly changing market. So hopefully we can help you with answering some of the questions and concerns and the how-to and so forth. So are you there with us, Vicky? Can you unmute yourself and say hello?
Yeah, hi. Thanks, I appreciate it.
You're welcome. You're welcome to, turn on your camera if you'd like as well. Unless you got barking dogs or a screaming husband, boyfriend, girlfriend, whatever, kids, then you can just keep yourself unmuted so we can have an interactive conversation here. This is going to require some responses from you during this class. So before we get started, I want to welcome everybody, and I'd like to have Ruth Ann Dunham introduce herself. She's one of the sponsors of the West DFW REI group and has helped a tremendous amount of members in the group with funding on different types of deals. So Ruth Ann, go ahead and take a minute and
Thank
tell
you.
everybody how you can help them.
Thank you, Tim. Most of you I've met, hopefully. Ruth Ann Dunham with Service First Mortgage. I've been doing this 30 years, and before that I was into real estate, and even I have flipped a property back in the past, so that's unusual. But I'm a traditional lender in almost every way, except we're lucky enough to have a sister bank. And because of that, I can do a lot of creative things. I can do these debt service coverage ratio loans that investors want when they can't prove their income on their tax returns. I can do delayed financing when you pay cash for a home and want to put your cash right back in your 401k or whatever. I can do very creative financing on many things, raw land, lots of things. So if there's something that you think you can't get done, or of course, I'd love a traditional loan too. I can help your buyers when you sell your house to get down payment assistance so you don't have to pay their closing costs too. So give me a call. I'll put my information in my chat.
Thank you, Ruth Ann. Again, Ruth Ann's been with us a long time. She can help you in a lot of different ways, depending on what kind of a deal that you have. And if she can't help you, she probably knows someone that can, or there may be other lenders in the group that can help. So be sure you reach out to her. Again, welcome everybody. Otis, you're welcome to unmute yourself if you'd like and say hello. This is going to be a good class, I think, for a lot of folks. I get a lot of questions about evaluating market value, the after repaired value. It's also commonly referred to. And we're going to get into some of those details and hopefully answer some of your questions. So you're welcome to use the chat as well. If you'd like to put your name, phone number, email in there for everybody else to have. I like to network. I like to let everybody network on these calls. A lot of people don't allow that, but I want you to network and build your list. And if there's anybody on the call that wants to introduce themselves and say who you are, what you do, and what you're looking for, what kind of help you are looking for, go ahead and unmute yourself here. Let me just kind of try to control this here. We'll do it one at a time. Pablo, would you like to do that? If so, just unmute and introduce yourself.
Just to the group.
Yes.
Okay. Give me one moment. Let's see. Ow. Let me show my face again real quick. Sorry. Okay. Okay. So, hello, everybody. I'm not sure how many people on the call, but I am Pablo V. Martinez. I am essentially a new investor trying to get into it as an investor. I started off as an accidental landlord when I moved from Midland, Texas and West Texas to Fort Worth. I ended up keeping my property over there and had it rented out. I ended up enjoying not just working with the lady as well, but what the business was. I kind of learned a little about it as I went along. I have a business now. I started a LLC structure that I want to incorporate and use in what I'm trying to do. My goal currently is to hit at least, granted, this is just my initial goal, but to hit like 16 properties, just starting off in a sense. I don't necessarily have a whole time limit. I would hope for it to be by the end of next year. Just depends on how the market goes, how plans go, how things go. But at minimal, I'm looking for a cash flow of at least like 265 at minimum. It can be greater. It's always. But I have a minimal plan of what I can do to get financially free and hopefully start creating that nest egg to start a wealth building and generational wealth as well. So I can pass that on to my kids and their grandkids and be that person in the family to help out as best as I can. Right now I work in the electric utility business. I am what they call a schedule analyst, and I'm in charge of making sure that our schedules in the electric utility world are where they need to be from start to finish, from when we have our easements and permits, whether it's in the city or out in rural areas, all the way up until we fully design it, order materials, and construct it, physically build it, and when everything is good and power is flowing through those lines to whoever needs them, essentially.
Pablo, what part of the Metroplex do you live?
Well, I live in Saginaw, so like North Fort Worth, basically.
Okay. And where do you want to buy houses?
I'm looking for right now. I'm really sticking to the DFW area, so Dallas and Fort Worth.
Okay.
And I've been browsing on on the MLS listings, and I have a realtor friend of mine who's helping me out with that as well. So I'm just trying to look for the best things possible. I did join another group called Bigger Pockets that helps out with kind of making sure that we can do evaluations, and they have calculators as well that help me out making sure I can bring a deal down or break a deal down and show what kind of the cash flow would be and things like that. So I'm just kind of learning as I'm going and trying to make sure I match my decisions with my vision of what I want to do with my life as I get older.
Okay. Thank you very much. Appreciate you coming to the call, and remind me, I'll show you the mortgage calculators that we have as part of the group as well, and the deal analysis calculator. So thank you. Let's try and keep for the rest of us, try and keep this to about a minute introduction.
Oh,
and
sorry.
No problem. So we can get on with the main topic. Vicky, do you want to say anything?
Sure. I'm Vicky Stone. I've been studying real estate for a while. My first deal was in Houston. I took it all through I had a good realtor help me. We took it through the whole cycle, sold it in February 2020. And then I've just been hesitant to get back in. I do other things on the side, like virtual assistant, some other things. So this is just as I just view it as an investor, but I would like to start up again and get a handful of houses in the DFW area, or I'm open actually to other areas of Texas as well.
Okay. All right. And what did you do with the one in Houston? Did you flip it? Did you rehab it and flip it, or just wholesale?
Yeah, it was a slow, like rehab. Then I rented it out for a year. Then I had to fix up a little bit again and sold it.
Okay.
Yeah.
I had to fix it up again. I heard that part.
A little bit, yeah.
Okay. And did you make money?
Yeah, that's what I was after, the equity grab. Yeah.
Good, good. Well, thank you and welcome to the call.
Thank
I'd be interested in you hearing more about your VA services. If you want to drop some info in the chat, I'd appreciate that.
Okay.
Otis, you want to introduce yourself?
Yep, trying to get it together. It keeps.
There you are.
Good afternoon. Good morning, everybody. My name is Otis Clayton. I am an educator, a school principal. I also do some marketing campaigns for real estate. I'm new to the area. I'm also on Bigger Pockets like Pablo, and just really love this group. It's very friendly, and Tim does a great job of responding. Most people are, he's very humble and willing to help, so I really appreciate it, and I love being a part of the group. And Ruth Ann, I am definitely looking forward to an opportunity when I can bring you one of those DSCR loans or maybe a traditional mortgage type loan.
I'll pay you later, Otis, for saying all those kind words. But thank you for attending. And I appreciate all your comments, and you are out there doing things, and that's the key to being successful in this business, is taking action. So, all right, so I'm gonna go ahead and share my screen. Again, just a reminder, if anybody wants to put their contact info in the chat and let everybody know what it is you want to do, where you want to buy, so on and so forth. So, why are we here? Is there anybody on the call? Again, this is a part of why I want you to unmute yourself so we can be interactive here. But how many people have trouble with pulling comps on homes? And you can speak up, because I can't see you when I'm sharing the screen here. So anybody having trouble with pulling comps, understanding comps? Does it? You have to talk to me now, guys. I can't hear your answers when you're muted. How many people are using MLS or a subscription service like Propelio? Is anybody?
I'm not using Propelio. I use Deal Machine and just try to check it against houses that sold in the area.
And does Deal Machine give you MLS data?
It gives me, so I'm on here now, it just gives me the comps. I'm looking at one property, 7116 Fire Hill Drive in Fort Worth, and it gives me the estimated value and as well as the properties that have sold in the past few months.
Okay. Can we look at this property live here? Do you mind?
Sure, that's fine. I'm just looking at it. 7116 Fire Hill Drive.
Okay. So one of the first things I want to talk about is, for those of you that are new, I highly recommend that you not use the free resources that that are out there that give you values on home values. There is a lot of those companies that claim to have true values, but they're really not true value. And you need access to an MLS, or you need somebody that has access to MLS, which is better than no access to MLS, but then you're restricted by their time and schedules. Or you need a service such as Propelio. Be careful with, and I really question Deal Machine and whether or not it is true comps, because I've never actually heard anybody say that it is. But we'll talk about different options. I thought this is why this might be a good example to try and look at today, Otis, if you're okay with that, and see how these numbers come up compared to what you're getting in Deal Machine.
Yes, sir.
Real Flow has a comps tool in it too, but what it is a modified Zillow. And of course, we all know Zillow is not accurate, but they have done some other things that make it worth looking at as part of your analysis. So, you know, when you do deal analysis, you want to look at all the different resources that you can find when you're trying to do research about that property, because you want to have as accurate of information as possible about everything to do with that property. So, and I'm going to talk about the criteria that I use, and I would recommend that you try to fine-tune your criteria as well, so that you are pulling as accurate as possible numbers and doing a true, what I call apples to apples, and even more so red apple to red apple comparison instead of an apple to an orange, if that makes sense. You want to have as close to an exact match of a house in the same neighborhood as you possibly can. So what I mean by that is, so in this particular case, this is in Summerfield's addition. I know this area quite well because I've done some deals down there years ago. But this subdivision is the first thing that I want to look at when it comes to a comparison. I want to see the houses that are for sale or have sold in Summerfield's addition. Okay, and then I see here that the specs on this particular house is it's a 3-bedroom, 2-bath, 2-car garage, 1,640 square feet, built in 1985. Okay, so what we're trying to do is we're trying to compare to other homes, what's sold that is as close to this criteria as we can get. Okay, this Summerfield's addition, 3.2 to 1640, built in 85. Now, in some big subdivisions, it's pretty easy to do that in today's market because there's so many, it's a seller's market, right? There's so many homes selling that it's easy to find a lot of comparisons. And I'll be shocked, I haven't looked at this, so I'm doing this one cold here, so to speak. Haven't looked at any of the details on this house, but I suspect this subdivision, there's a lot of solds in the last couple of years. We're also going to talk about what happens if you can't find solds. And that's going to be that where a lot of people run into problems at. Okay, so what we're going to look at here is we're going to start off here. This shows you the property owner's information, shows you the owner here, shows you the owners in California. So this is a absentee owner, and here's the property information, which we already saw up here. But here's some more information, right? Here's the lot size, acres and square footage. And here's all the tax information that's all being pulled from public records. Okay. So this number here is just the Propelio's estimated number based on the public data information. So now we're going to keep scrolling down here and we're going to look at some more information. So it's giving you the property characteristics. Okay. It's giving you the land information. And then it's giving you the building size and garage area. So keep in mind, some of this information is going to be blank because depending on when the home last sold, they may not have had that information in the system. And so it may not be available. Sometimes you'll see up here, there'll be no bedrooms and bathrooms, especially on the older homes. Okay. So that's the first thing as far as what are you looking at here when you pull this up? You can see there's some additional information over here. You can see that it last sold 5 years ago. And you can see it's an entity that's the owner. So you're looking at a lot of different things here. Then you can come over here, you see you have different tabs. You have comparables. You can manage, this has a CRM to it as well. I don't use it because I use RealFlow as my CRM. So you can, but you could put buyer's information in here. You can put notes in here about the property. You can assign tasks, and you can actually go skip trace from here to get the contact information for this seller. Okay. What I'm gonna primarily be talking about today and what I primarily use out of Propelio is the comparable sales. So we're gonna click on this. And we're gonna come over here and notice it's already telling us right here that there's 50 comps included. Remember what I said about a lot of sales? Look at that. So there's a lot of sales recently in this area. So what we have to do is we have to fine tune the range of homes to be something very similar to this particular property. So anybody have any, can you tell me what you're using today for criteria for searching on comps? Anybody?
I try to do a half mile and stay in, if I know the community, stay in that community name.
Okay, absolutely. How old do you go back?
I start off with 3 months and see how many properties I can find. If I don't find anything, I'll extend to 6. And then if I really don't find anything, I'll extend my market area first before going past 6.
Okay. What about bedrooms, bathrooms, square footage, and age?
Same thing. I try to stay within 250 below whatever. If I'm looking at a 2,000 square foot house, I try to stay like 1750 to 2250. Try to keep me honest as much as possible, but I'll extend that again if I'm not finding anything.
Okay, so good. Yeah, I mean you're starting tight, which is good, and working your way back is necessary. In general, what I do is I take 10% plus or minus on the square footage. I'll take 5 years older and 5 years newer of the age of the home. And then on bedrooms and bathrooms, I'll usually do 1 up and 1 down. So if it's a 3-2, I'll, if it's a 3-bedroom, I'll do a 2-bedroom to a 4-bedroom. Okay. And bathrooms, I'll usually do a 1 to 3. And then square footage, I usually will do 10% of that square footage. And then distance, half a mile, and then 6 months. So it's all up to you, where you want to start. And there's times I probably should just start at 3 months instead of 6, because there's so many sales like this one here. So what you want to do is get, like I said, as close to red apple to red apple as you can to compare with, because you're trying to get as accurate and as current as possible. So what we're going to do here is, we know this is a 322, 1,600 square foot. So we're going to do a 2-4. I'm going to do a 1-3 for bathrooms, and then it's 1,600. So I'm just going to make easy numbers. I'm going to do 1,500 to 1,800. So, it doesn't have to be exact 10%. I just round the numbers to make it easy. I know that the house that we have that we're looking at is 1,640. So it's in between these two numbers. Okay. And then year built, well, it was built in 85. So I'm going to do 1980, and then max of 1990. And then half a mile. And then we'll change this to the last 3 months. Okay. Everybody follow me so far? Any questions about the search criteria? So what you're going to see is the number of homes get narrowed down, right? Because we got some specific criteria in here. And then when you scroll down here, we get to pick what we are looking at, what we want to use in these comps. Now, remember, we're after Summerfield's edition. So the first thing I look at here is Summerfield's edition. There's only one. So we eliminated what those others probably were, is other subdivisions, and we're probably outside the original 6 months. Let's see what happens if we go to 6 months. Okay, so if you go back, so the last 3 months, what did we just see here? The difference between 3 and 6 months.
You picked up more in the same community or subdivision.
Yeah, but also there hasn't been near the sales in the last 3 months as they were up to 6 months ago, right?
Yeah.
So, and that's something to pay attention to. Okay. So again, Summerfield's edition. We come down through here and we're looking, well, there's one that's in Summerfield. There's another one, and there's another one. Now notice this says Summerfield's East, right? And what you'll see is this could be a mistake, or these could be a mistake. So you have to pay attention to that. But we are only after Summerfield's edition. So we may skip this one just because it's not in Summerfield's edition, okay? You'll see realtors make mistakes all the time with entering a property into the system. So you have to do the best you can to look at it and see whether or not it fits your criteria that you're looking for. So then the next thing I do is, we know this is a 322. So I'm going to come down here. I'm going to look at the specifics here. Now, this is a 3-1. Knowing our house is a 3-2, I'm not going to use this unless I have to. Okay. Remember, I'm trying to find as close to a 322, 1,640 square foot home built in 85 as I possibly can. So I'm gonna come down here, and this one, here's a 322, built in 83, 1,524 square feet. Is that close enough for what we're looking for? That would be a yes.
One zone.
Okay. So we're going to go in here next, and we're going to look at the details behind this property. So before I do that, let me go back over here. So, so my screen, I can't, oh, there it is. Okay. So I wanted to scroll over here and I didn't see the scroll button. So notice here, it's giving you what the list price is and the square footage of the cost per square foot here. Okay. So that's just the information it's giving you. And then, you know, the days on market, which is really going to be critical, right? We want to know, this is a part of your analysis, is the difference in these days on market and these prices. Okay. So you know, we can see here 62 days at 280, 11 days at 330, you know, many times the higher price means longer days on market, but it could be that this home was ready to sell and it was very, very nice home. Okay. And it could be the difference in the square footage as well. But now what we have to do is we have to go look at these homes in Summerfield Edition and see how they compare to the home that we are analyzing. Now we're at a disadvantage here. We haven't seen the home that Otis provided the address for. Have you seen this home, Otis?
No, sir, I have not seen it in person.
Okay. All right. So the first thing that I do now is I'm gonna look at this. Now, this is active under contract, not sold. Okay, I went down too far. Sorry about that. So, very important key point, right? Do we want to look at active listings?
Yes.
So we want to look at them only from the perspective of to see what they look like, see what people are doing, see what they're asking, but it's not going to be a part of our comps, right? We only want sold properties because people can ask anything they want to for a house, right? But what are people willing to pay is the question. So that's why you have to look at only the sold properties when it comes to determining value. I always will go look at these properties on market so I can see what the condition of those are, what the asking price is of those homes, and so forth. But as far as determining today's value, only the sold properties are what you're after. So the first one we're going to go look at here is Sunny Bank Drive. And what you do is you click on that link and it opens up the details. And what I see here is it listed at $299, but it's sold at $307. Is that pretty common today? It is. A lot of people are asking or selling for over asking price, or they could be asking for some seller closing help. So that could adjust this price. Notice that it sold same day, right? That's what I see. So that was a good deal. And what we want to do is we want to see why it sold so quickly at this 307 and $201 a square foot. So we want to go find that out. So before I start clicking through pictures, I look and see what the realtor wrote about this property. So in this case, it must be a company name, ABTX Renovations Custom Remodel, 1-story, open layout, home, move-in ready, price to sell, seller flexible, designer tile, custom kitchen, custom master bathroom, designer flooring, easy maintenance, clean living. You see the kind of words that they're using? So we want to go see what all that stuff looks like, but all those things help attract people to it and sell at this price and sell quickly. Quartz, anti-microbial countertops. I can't even say that. What a tongue twister. Custom cabinets, large backyard, huge storage unit, multiple decks, and to enjoy the yard. Fantastic location, high rated schools, shopping, freeway, no HOA. Okay, so they did a good job of doing this write-up. You'll see some realtors do a horrible job at this write-up, but you can't go on just this because people can write anything about something. And what you want to do is go look at it. Now, what do you think about first impressions on the front of this house? Anybody?
Lawn needs some work.
Lawn needs some work. What else? Anybody else? There's no landscape. And one thing that drives me crazy is the concrete. Does that look good? You would be amazed at what power washing and some bleach will do to the concrete driveway and sidewalk. Many times it will make it look like brand spanking new. It looks like they put a fresh paint job on there, but it's kind of hard to tell from a distance, right?
Yeah.
but it looks like it might be fresh. From a distance, the roof is hard to tell, but I assume, I didn't see anything about roof in the write-up, but I assume the roof is good too. So those things make a difference though to some buyers when they first pull up and look at it for the first time. Okay, so moving on here, let's see what the pictures look like. First impressions are good, right? Looks clean. I'm not a big white tornado fan, but some people are. They've done a nice job here. They've left the stickers on the new appliances. They left the blue film on the dishwasher, so people know that this stuff is all brand new. I've done it on some houses, others I haven't. I like the nice openness of the kitchen area here. They probably open that wall up. They've got some recessed lighting. I can't see what lighting's over this part, but looks pretty good. They've got, whether those are new cabinets or just refaced doors, you know, new doors on it. One thing they did is a lot of people don't do is they put cabinet pulls on. It makes such a huge difference to finish the house and put those cabinet pulls on. Okay. You got to do it right. Putting them on crooked don't help you any, but you'd be amazed at how many people install them wrong. But first impressions are good, right? Any questions or comments about this picture?
They made it look very presentable, that's for sure.
Yeah. Yep. So still very nice. You know, that it's a nice, clean look, right? And as a matter of fact, that was one of the words they used was clean living. Okay. So here we got a bathroom. Again, that look is carried on through into the bathroom. What's missing on this?
Mirror.
Mirrors. You know, some people think let the buyers put in the new mirrors on what, you know, what they want to be looking at. But those mirrors, if you buy the appropriate mirror for that house, that bathroom, it's going to make a huge difference in the looks of this. Now, we've only looked at a couple of pictures. What's missing in these pictures?
Staging.
Yes, sir, Roger. I knew you were going to say that. Staging makes a world of difference. This is a nice, clean house. It looks very nice. Don't get me wrong, but staging would have helped as well, really make a good impression. We stage everything. We highly recommend that you stage everything. And it just makes a huge difference, especially in larger homes. Not quite as critical in 1,000 square foot home, but it still makes a huge difference. So here's another outside picture, I think this is kind of a boring front entrance, but I don't really know for sure what's going on with this concrete. I don't know if that's cracks or marks or what. Again, I would have power washed, which may have made some difference with, I don't know if that's mold and algae growth in there or what, but I probably would have changed this and put some real house numbers on it instead of stickers. That's just me. Okay, front door, nothing special there, I don't think. Again, if we staged it, we would have a rug at that front door to help prevent tracking on through the house. Nice ceiling fan. Nice room. I would have had staging up on that mantle, but that looks very nice. And another kitchen shot. I'm not sure why they duplicate some of these pictures. So there's a different one there. Again, nice clean look doing the light backsplash. I'm not really a big fan of it blending in. I would have went with something more bold in there to make it the contrast, but it still looks nice. Another view, again, looks very nice and clean, without a doubt. It looks like it might have new windows, but I don't recall seeing that in the write-up, right? It's hard to tell in the pictures. Another bathroom. Notice they didn't show you the inside. So I
I was
don't
gonna
know.
ask about that, Tim. What do you think of shower doors compared to leaving it open and letting them do curtain rods?
If it just depends on the house and what is there. If I'm redoing the entire thing, put a new tub and tile in there, I usually do not put doors back on and let them decide which they want to do. If I'm putting a walk-in shower, I normally put new glass on it if I'm doing a walk-in shower. If for example, my big Weatherford house that's closing Friday, keep your fingers crossed. That house had a tub in it and shower doors that we took off the doors and we saved the tub. So we had no choice but to put doors back on it. And honestly, it looks really good. So, it's just a matter of what you want to do and what your budget is. You're talking several $100s to, add in shower doors, and, people may not like it. So it just depends on what you're doing. I suspect they left this door from the original. It's probably the original door. Notice no mirror again. So. I don't know what the condition of that wood is, but I probably would have tried to bleach that. If that's just untreated wood, I probably would have bleached it, and that would have cleaned up all that mold and mildew on that deck.
What about staining it instead of bleaching it?
Well, I've never tried staining over the top of the mildew.
Okay.
Mold mildew. I don't know what that's going to do to try and do that. You could bleach it and then stain it. I'm trying to get rid of the black is what I try and do. And if you've never done this, back to the sidewalk and driveway, you would be amazed at what just putting outdoor bleach or even household bleach diluted in a garden sprayer and spraying the driveway with it. Man, it does a great job on the cleaning up the concrete. And it's not going to hurt anything as far as the grass or plants around it. You just don't want to walk in it and then track it in the house. So just be careful there. There's also some stuff called wet and forget if you haven't used it. Wet and forget, you put it on. It's not a bleach, it's a cleaner, but you put it on and let it dry. And every time it gets wet again, it reactivates itself and keeps working and helps clean up the mold and mildew on the driveway, the sidewalks, landscape, stones, things like that. It works fantastic. I've been using it for years. Okay, so what do you think? Pretty good, pretty nice looking house. And it matches pretty well with everything that they wrote in their write-up, right? Any questions on that? You see what I'm getting at? So the things they wrote And the pictures they provided, they contribute to this 0 days on market and the high sales price and in getting it sold quickly. So is this a good comp for the house that we're looking at on Fire Hill? Anybody? Man,
What was the sales date on that one again?
Yes.
say
I said
again?
I just said, what was the sales date? Which property was that one again?
January.
Yeah, that one just sold here in
January.
yeah, right here. So that's a good comp.
Mhm.
Okay. So we're going to come over here and we're going to do a thumbs up on this. So that's going to be used in our analysis. And then we're going to go look, since we don't have many in Summerfield's edition, we're just going to go look and see what this place looks like. Okay. So we're going to read it. So it sold at asking price, 163 a square foot, 6 days on market. And it's a little further back, is back in November. And let's see what it says. Prime location. Shingles, decking replaced in October. Numerous upgrades in the home. Large shed. Oversized living area, dining nook. You know, you can see that they've done some things, but it's not been a complete rehab like the other house. Here's a big one right here, double pane vinyl windows. Now, converted garage. You gotta pay attention to those, and that's where they're getting, or they're using it to market a potential fourth bedroom. But the one thing you want to pay close attention to is whether or not it was permitted, for one thing, and whether or not that neighborhood has other converted garages in it. This can be a problem when you're trying to resell. If everybody else is looking for a garage and this one's converted, it could narrow down your buyers for this particular house. Okay. Still sold at a good price, still sold quickly, but just, you need to think about that going into the deal. Where you can run into a big problem is if it was not permitted, are they gonna, will the city let you get the proper permit and be able to keep it that way, or are you going to have to undo it? Okay.
Probably a beginner question, but what would be the best way to validate the permit on the garage if we're looking at one like that?
You have to go to the city.
Okay.
You got to go talk to them and find out if there's any history on it.
But Tim, would
Okay.
you want to go to the city and alert them of it?
Say again?
Would you want to go to the city and alert them of an addition if it's not permitted?
Well, don't you want to know? I mean, that's a decision you're going to have to make. I mean, what if you buy it and then you try and sell it and your buyer goes to the city to find out? What if your buyer brings a realtor and she wants to see the permit?
Tim, I think you also mentioned on our Thursday meeting that if the city found out, they would make you unconverted, correct?
Well, if there's no history, so I've not actually had this happen to me, so I don't know for sure what they're going to do, but they may not let you keep it. I just don't know. So I'm just trying to make you aware of the things that could happen. You need to be prepared for. And if you're planning to buy it and keep it as like it is and use it as a rental, is it that big of a deal to you? Probably not. But if you plan to flip that property, put a lot of money in it, have it converted, and you go to sell it, and then somebody else brings it up to the city, then you got to know that you got to deal with it. Does that make sense, Roger?
It does. I had
So-
a house that had a converted garage, but it was supposedly permitted, but it wasn't. The city couldn't find it and they didn't care. The city of Fort Worth.
Okay. And I've heard others go the other way. I'm just trying to point out that it's something that you need to be aware of and know how to deal with it.
Hey, Tim, do you think that their converted garage added to the square footage?
Well, it depends on if the county counted it.
Okay. And the second thing is our subject property has 2 baths and this one only has 1.
That's right. Remember what I said? If there's plenty of 322 comps, I don't normally look at the 3 1s because I'm after a 3-2, right? That's what my house is. I'm only looking at this one now because there was only one in Summerfield Editions that was a 322. So, and this is pretty common. You don't always find a sufficient number of comps. I mean, I like to have 4 to 6 good, solid sold properties that are good comparisons, but you don't always get what you want. So I'm just trying to show you that you got to analyze this and account for it. You know, this is a 163 a square foot versus that 201 or whatever it was on the last house. You know, so, you know, there's going to be a reduction in price on a 3-1 as compared to a 3-2.
Now I see one on my platform called 4740 Scottsbriar Lane, and it sold in, oh man, I just had it. Sold in February 16, 2023. And it said that this one is a lot lower. Oh no, wait a minute. That was September. No, it sold in September. Never mind. For 274.
So just thumbing through the pictures here real quick. Does this look a lot different than the first house we looked at?
Yeah, they did minimum work to it.
That's right. So, you know, that explains right now why very easily tells you why the difference in 200 a square foot to 163, right?
Yep.
You don't even have to look much further, but you can see the original cabinets and stuff like that. So it's, you know, it's outdated for sure. Doesn't mean it's not in good condition.
No.
It must be in pretty good condition, but it's very outdated. Look at that countertop.
Yep.
Oh yeah.
Those are wood countertops.
Well, it's a laminate, but it looks like wood.
Yeah.
There's a lot of houses up in this neighborhood with this kind of style. Roger, didn't you look at a house that was very similar to this?
Yep.
So, you know, again, it looks like it's in pretty good shape, but it's just very outdated, right? As compared to the totally remodeled. I like the big patio, but I don't like whatever this is. It may be paint that's come off, but it looks bad. Big shed they mentioned. Notice in these front pictures, they're not showing you what the front of the house is, this is a crappy photo for a real estate agent listing, right? You're not even showing people what the front of the house looks like. All the landscapes overgrown, not trimmed. Have we seen enough on this one?
Yeah,
You see the difference between the first property and this property? So, you know, I rest my case. I would not use that 3-1 as a comparison to trying to determine what the value is of this property. So these other properties, though, you know, these are without knowing where Huntington Village Phase 3 is. You know, it's hard to say, or Huntington Village, it's hard to say that that's a good comp or not. I do not like to go outside of this same addition if you don't have to. So by the way, the ones that you don't want to use, you can click the down thumbs and it takes them out of the picture here, so they're not part of your analysis. Can you go look at the others that are comparables as far as all the specs on them? You can, and you can go see what they look like. You know, we have other 322s, so I probably would not look at these 422s. So I'm gonna thumbs down those. I'm gonna go in here and I'm gonna look at these next. So do we know what, let's go see what this property looks like on the front of it.
So Tim, you said that you would not look at other subdivisions. So if you have no comps within a mile of your house in that subdivision, you would not consider the other subdivisions?
I would consider them if there's nothing else to look at. Absolutely.
Right now we got one that we can look at, but you don't want to look at the ones in the other subdivision.
That-
So at this point, would you expand your search as far as distance or look at the other subdivisions?
So we're gonna look at all those different things, Roger. So you bring up a good point, though. You know, I'm trying not to go outside of Summerfield's addition and looking at these others. I'm here, so I'm just gonna go take a glance at what these properties look like, but I wanted to see what the subject property looks like. So here's what that property looks like. You know, this is the one we're trying to determine comps on. And I'm just going to thumb through pictures real quick. I have no idea if this is current pictures on Zillow or the previous listing from years ago, but it's a pretty boring house as far as the inside goes and yard. Not bad from outside, but still kind of boring to me, right? So I'm going to go back over here. I see the price here. It sold in 21 days, sold back in October. So now it's starting to go back a ways.
Yeah.
Size wise, it's not too bad. I'm just going to kind of click through it. I'm trying to, just get a feel for what else is going on around me, but I don't like to use listings from other neighborhoods. But sometimes you're not given a choice. Sometimes you have to look at the alternatives around you and try and help you come up with an estimated value. You know, these colors, that tells you there was probably not much, if anything, done to this house before they sold it. You know, outdated. And that explains probably why it took 21 days, right? So just real quick, look at this one. Not a bad first impression. Notice it took 97 days. And that was just a month ago. Or this month. Just a couple days ago, actually. So let's see what the inside looks like real quick. nothing's done to it, right? So they're still asking a premium for needs updates, and that's why it took 97
100
days.
days, yeah. 100 days on market.
Okay, so since none of those help us, we're just gonna thumb down, get rid of them. Now let's go back. Notice just based off the one comp, it's telling us 330. But let's go back and let's change our criteria a little bit. So this one we did 6 months. I'm a little hesitant to go back and change the range. This is okay if it's a huge subdivision and still going to pull in Summerfield's addition. So let's go see if that helps us at all, pull in anything else from Summerfield addition. Look, we got one here, one here. So we got a couple more to look at, right? So now let's go in and see what we come up with. So 9 days had at a reduced price just a couple of months ago. Charming, great curb appeal, natural light, soft colors, brick fireplace. I can tell you just from the way that starts out that there's not been much done to it. What do I have here? Is that a good thing or a bad thing?
I consider it a bad thing.
Yep.
Why? For us newbies.
Above ground pool, there's maintenance, there's liability. It's not, they're not as good as being an in-ground pool because they're portable, basically.
They're high
It
maintenance.
doesn't, yep.
And any pool, in ground, above ground, is high liability. When you're talking about the time you hold it, whether you're rehabbing it to sell. For example, my Weatherford property that I'm selling Friday, you know, it's a lot of work and money to maintain. I've had it for 6 months, but it's also higher liability because if kids get into it and something happens, you know, you have a risk. So just keep that in mind, you know, and if there's repairs, they can get expensive. This pool cost me a lot of money. So just keep that in mind. I try to shy away from it unless I can get a better deal. I try to account for that. Based on the first house we looked at in the concrete, does that look pretty bad?
Yeah.
You know, you can make a huge first impression difference by power washing, bleaching the concrete. Landscapes not been trimmed in ages, pretty boring. Remember what I said, just from the way the introduction is written, there's not been much done to this house. It looks like it is well maintained, but you know, there's nothing updated to it. All that stuff's original. That mirror's not, that faucet's not, but
I was gonna say, I like that mirror.
I love that mirror. So this was back in February, so your yard is not going to look very good in February. There's the pool. So the deck looks like it's probably fairly new, but it's hard to say what that pool looks like. It's got a cover on it. But it is a high risk for you while you own that property. So would we use this house in the comps? You know, it depends on from what angle you're looking at it, right? You can use this when you're going and talking to the seller about today's value. If you see that this looks similar to the house that you're talking to the seller on, this Fire Hill Drive, but you don't want to use this property in determining what it could be all fixed up. Does that make sense? What's the first thought here on this house?
Shrubs aren't trimmed up. Sidewalk and concrete's not clean.
How about this?
I can't see it. I'm on my phone.
Solar panels?
Run.
So
Already learned my lesson.
solar panels can be a big problem if they still owe money on them. And, you know, I haven't dealt with them enough to know, other than it, a lot of times if there is a contract for those solar panels, it's probably gonna throw your numbers way off and make that a non-deal on that house, has been my experience. Because they owe too much money still to pay off those solar panels. If they're paid off, that might be a different story. But I don't know enough about solar panels to know if, you know, there's got to be somebody to come inspect them and find out if it's working and so forth. Make sure there's no leaks in the roof from where they were installed, things like that. So
Well,
in this case,
I'm
Go
dealing
ahead.
actually, Tim, with a house right now that has solar panels on it. They were leased, not purchased, a 30-year lease. But in the contract, it also states that if I don't take the transfer, the contract's null and void. It's also stated in the contract, so you have to read these contracts. It's also stated in their contract that if I don't accept the solar panels, it's null and void. They won't come and get them and remove them from the roof. They won't talk to me now. So I had to wind up turning the house into a rental. So while we sued the solar panel company to come and remove them.
wow. So I
Yeah,
learned
so-
something today as well. So thank you for that, Roger. We appreciate your educational experiences. Is it working okay for you as a rental?
It's working. I'm pulling 300 a month cash on it, but I've left 120 in it.
Yep.
So it's not balanced out, hence the lawsuit that's now pending.
And what's the solar panels doing for you as far as electricity?
They're taking a big chunk out of it. It's per the thing, it says they'd only do 68% of the house. So at one point the company actually turned the solar panels off. My electric shot up to $300. Talked to another solar panel company and I was able to turn them back on. They told me how to do it. And it dropped that $300, $50 bill down to $100.
Nice. So about
So
cutting off 2/3.
yeah.
Nice.
And that was during the heat of the summer last year. So
Okay. Okay, so notice here we've got sold price at just over asking price, 3%. That could have been closing help they asked for, quite likely being at 100, you know, just 3%, 37 days on the market. This was in December. And then again, you want to read through here, see everything. Notice that this is a 4-bedroom, which I didn't catch in the list view. So, but unless I have no 3 bedrooms, I'm not going to really use a 4-bedroom in my analysis. Remember, I'm trying to get as close to a 3-2-2 comparison as possible. But you can see all the notes they have in here, bonus room, man cave, those are all things that you have to pay attention to when you are comparing to the house that you're evaluating. Boring front entrance. Looks like original. Upgraded countertops, cabinets dark. You'll see that a lot of people are getting away from the dark colored woods. It's not that it's bad, but a lot of people don't like it anymore. They like the brighter colors because it makes the room so dark. You got very outdated tile there.
Tim, can those cabinets be stripped down and lightened up or painted?
Yeah, what they do is they clean them up and sand them and then paint them.
Is that cost effective?
Yes.
Okay.
The question you have to look at first is what's the condition of the rest of the cabinets and the drawers and stuff? Is it worthwhile? And the other thing is, the other thing that they do is, go back to it, is if the rest of the cabinets are solid, depending on what your door style is, you can redoor them and just replace just the doors and then paint the entire cabinet. So if the cabinets are solid, the doors are in bad shape, or you don't like the style of the door, then just redoor them. That's much cheaper than replacing the entire set of cabinets.
Okay.
So this room looks pretty good. There's another nice mirror. I'm not sure about that tile, but they've done some updates there. Big laundry room. Enclosed covered back porch. So when you see porches like this, you got to figure out if it's enclosed with heat and air, and has that been included in the county square footage. This happened to me on a rehab I did in Arlington a few years ago, where the master bedroom was upstairs and there was a porch below that master that these people had enclosed many years ago. And during the time they owned it, the county included that in the square footage of the house, and I didn't realize that. Well, that room was in such bad condition that we tore it right off and made it a porch again, which it needed. And it was very nice. But then we went to sell it, and we had a buyer contract, and they had a home inspection and an appraisal done. And the appraisal discovered that the square footage was 110 square feet less than what the county records showed. So I had to go back and renegotiate my deal with the buyer, and we got it done. But it was just a lesson learned for me. I hadn't realized that the county had included that as square footage in the house. And honestly, it shouldn't have been, because there was no heat and air. And that's the criteria is when you enclose a room like this, is there heat and air from the house? That makes it a living space. So sold at a good price, 3% over, 37 days back in December. You can see, I mean, overall the house is pretty nice, but it's not a total rehab like the ones we saw earlier. Okay, any questions on this one? Can we use this in the comps?
I say no.
No? So I'm gonna say no to start with, just because it's a 4 and we have all these other 3s, right? So we're just gonna take that right out of the equation. I normally do that at first. So we have all the rest of them are 3 2 2s. If I didn't have these others, I would still consider that 4-bedroom. And you just have to adjust for it. We already did that one, so. So this one is just, it's not what we couldn't use it as a after repaired value, but you could use this for today's value, right? Don't you think?
Yeah.
Everybody agree?
Yes.
So back on this one though, for today's value, we probably don't want to use that, right? Because that would be the after repaired value in this case. So you gotta remember why you're trying to pull these comps. If you're trying to see what today's value is like. So, having sunshine on a house when you're taking pictures helps, right? That looks a lot different than those other pictures. Sold in 4 days, 100%. Just here in October, so it's getting back there a little ways. Multiple offers. Part of that is Keller ISD that's bringing in the multiple offers. Here we go. Do we want to even spend any time looking at this one? We can, but you don't want to use this in your comp when your house doesn't have a pool. This is a lot different house than those others we've looked at, right? Nice flooring, updated coloring. But the pool, and the custom woodwork. These, this is one that you would not choose to use in your comps. You got the updated countertops. I mean, nice big kitchen, backsplash. So they've spent some time and money, and it shows in their price. So we're going to come back here and we're going to say no. Nicer landscape and curb appeal. 5 days on market. 100% asking price, or just a tad bit over. December this year. Beautiful home. Fully remodeled kitchen. Stainless appliances, granite countertops. Lots of storage. Brick fireplace. Workspace or craft area. So, there's some good things, but it's not been a total rehab. Curb appeal's good. Driveway needs help. That looks nice. Nice double wide doors. Nice entrance. Here you have that dark wood again, but it just depends on what you're going to do with it. Are you renting it? Are you flipping it? What kind of price you're getting it for? Sometimes you can leave these cabinets. The house that I did in Weatherford had this coloring of cabinets in it, but the house was very dark because the kitchen's quite big, was very dark, and we chose to two-tone them. We did a grayish color on the bottom and bright white on the top, and what a difference that made in that kitchen. Combine that wood with this wood, it's a very dark room, and the color of the kitchen in my Weatherford house is very dark because of all that brown. It's nice looking. So you just have to, compare to what you're looking at and decide what you want to do. This is a nice looking kitchen. Nice laid out, nice appliances. light. Covered patio with recessed lighting. This is a nice living space. I can see why it sold quick. Is this house anything like the one we were looking at?
No.
No, totally different house. Should we use it for our analysis? I would say no. Just because it's not a comparable house. So this was just a couple months ago, so the yard's not going to look good. 31 days, a little higher price, almost 200 a square foot. Sold at 335. So we have updated colors in here. Nice open spaces, nice custom trim work and ceilings. Nice kitchen, huh? You don't see many people selling that will go neutralize their house with colors. But I don't think you would want to try and sell it, rehab it, and leave this coloring. You could leave this as a rental, but I wouldn't do that as a flip. I'm not sure what those handles are all about. They look awfully big. You know, it looks like the original cabinet doors. They just put some new handles on it maybe, but I'm not a big fan. Notice they went with a lighter frame mirror, which is okay, depending on the color scheme it goes with here, but we tend to go with the dark frame mirrors. But this is better than no mirror. Nice bathroom. Nice space. Nice. So it's kind of interesting that as nice as this is, you know, that it still took 31 days other than interest rates. This is nice that they had the floor plan. So what about that one? Is that that's not a as is value, but that is what it could be, right?
Mm-hmm.
So what do we want to see here? So at the current value, you know, depending on how bad that house is, you know, Fire Hill, depending on what kind of condition that's really in today. Do you have any idea what they're asking for that, Otis?
No, sir. I was just doing some research. They got some tenants getting evicted. So I was putting them on a list to contact homeowners or investors that are losing tenants.
Okay. So let's do this. Let's take this out. Let's switch this around. You see what happened to that ARV? Based on the square footage. Now this gives you square footage ARV and the average price. But don't we want to use the square footage, the cost per square foot? So those homes that we looked at here, these are all good comps, in my opinion, to compare to this house once it's all fixed up. Couple of those homes weren't total rehabs though, right? Only one of the three was a total rehab. So you might be able to push that to be a little bit higher than this, right? Everybody agree with that?
Yeah.
Remember these two here, they were not total rehabs. They were very nice, And you may be able to get something higher as an average, but this is a pretty good number, I think. Okay. Now, what happens if you find no comps? Anybody have an idea? What if you come in here and you pull comps and there's nothing? Which you're going to see this quite often in areas like out here in Weatherford, like mobile homes, for example. You know, you might find a mobile home on a 1 or 2 acre plot, but you know, it's not a high turnover. So you may not find another mobile home within a mile. You may have to go out 5 or 6 miles or 10 miles. Does that make you feel very comfortable about values?
Not going 10 miles out.
That's right. It could really change. It could really change the value based on that location. But what other choice do you have? What if you find a house, again, same scenario, that's kind of out in the country? What are you going to do if you don't find any comps for it? No idea. So this is where the hard work and the thinkers got to come in to play here. Okay. What I recommend is go to the county website for that particular county. And you can do a couple of different things. I like to take the data from the free sites, you know, go to Zillow, go to what do you see on the screen now? Can you still see? Do you still see Palio? You see clusters?
Cluster maps. Yeah, cluster maps.
Okay. All right. So there's a couple different things I do, and this depends on what tools that you have. I use RealFlow for my entire business, but it's my CRM. I put all my properties in there. I do my analysis, document everything. But in here, they have Zillow comps, but they have, I don't know if anybody's heard about AI technology and specifically with RealFlow, but what RealFlow is doing is they're rating, notice the retail, rental, and wholesale, these numbers. They are rating these houses by giving them or scoring them with a number based on a bunch of public information data and running them through these filters to spit out these numbers. So they're giving you pricing, they're giving you rent estimates, they're giving you the average value based on all this data. I would not buy a house based on this, but the numbers that they're giving you here, for example, the wholesale number is the highest of all these, could be an indicator. And also notice it says it's free and clear. This information is important right here. The fact that it's free and clear, and this is scored up to 1,000, by the way. And the highest being, you know, it's likely that it's going to sell in the next 90 days based on all these different numbers. But I use all this stuff, especially when I can't find comps, because what I'm trying to do is get all the information I can to make a decision about the likelihood of it selling and what kind of price range. So I'm going to look at this. I'm going to go into Propelio. I'm going to look for everything I can based on the comps in here. If there's nothing here, then I'm going to go to the county site. I'm going to pull up the tax appraised value. And then I might go look at things like cluster maps and try to find the most recent owners of these properties. So this helps with tracking down the owners too. And then I have I don't know if, can you see my screen now? Real Flow property lead.
No, we're on cluster map still.
Okay, 1 second. That's one thing I don't like about Real Flow is, I mean, Zoom, is that they don't make it real easy for me to go between different programs. Give me a second here. Okay, you see my lead sheet now? Yes.
Hey, that looks good, Tim. Can you share that?
Since I'm such a nice guy, you already told everybody I was a nice guy, Otis.
Dude, you are the best.
You shouldn't have told them that. So what I do is, and I did this for Real Flow, but this works for anything. I wanted to have certain questions, and I designed this for my office assistant that I had at the time. I wanted her to research due diligence on every property the same way. So I always wanted to know these questions. You know, she's not the investor. She's just going to go get the information that I need. Okay. So I tried to make it simple for her. So I had all these questions here. You can just check the boxes and she can go right to the counties from here. Okay. And then, so we got the tax values. If there's land with it, they can go research the land separately that may be with it. Because if you go look at a house out here in the country, many times, let's say it's got 5 acres, many times the house is on 1 acre and the rest of that land is separate. So you want to know all that information. Okay. Then I have her fill in the blanks, name of the owner, the deed date. So you're going to love this one. This one right here is worth it for the price of attending this meeting today. And that is this one address .fortworthtexas.gov. That site gives you so much information, and I wish I knew of whether or not there's a similar site for all the other counties. I don't have a clue. I don't know if anybody else does, but this link provides you so much information. And of course, you can't see the web page now, right? City of Fort Worth. You can't see it, right?
No, it went away.
This is the thing that drives me crazy about Zoom. See it now? So give me that address again, Otis.
The address is 7116 Fire Hill. And that's the only part I have. Let me see if I can go back to it.
I got it.
Okay.
So you're going to have, quite honestly, an overwhelming amount of information when you use this site for Fort Worth. I mean, you got all this information here. Look at this one, code violations around this address, this Fire Hill Drive. These are the code violations for all the different addresses near the house that you're looking at. Would that be helpful? If you had a marketing campaign going for code violations, would this be helpful? I mean, what an opportunity to identify people that have code violations, and you can go in here and see all the details. you know. But also if you're seriously looking at buying 7116 and you're thinking about rental property, but let's say, I don't see it here, but let's say the next door neighbor or all the way around your house, they had a bunch of code violations. Wouldn't that make you think twice about buying that house for a rental property if everybody else around you was a problem? You know, that's the kind of thing that you could think about and use this for. You know, then you got building permits. So are people doing things in that neighborhood? Are people fixing up houses? You get all that information out of here. How about this one? Is this worthwhile? Crime data. How could you use this? Come on now. Somebody's got to know.
Crime data is definitely useful when putting in an offer.
Bad neighborhood, walk away.
Absolutely. Not only may they be tired of dealing with the crime, but when you start using this type of data in your offer and mentioning it when you make your offer, they know you know. And you may very well be able to get that house at a better price because of the fact that they know you know there's crime in that area, and that's going to lower the price of the house. So, you know, this amount of data is overwhelming. I mean, there's so much in here. But you can get a lot more out of this when you start going into these different profiles here and looking at all this information. There's a lot of data in here that can really help you do your analysis and make an offer that is going to help you be successful and get it accepted. So, you know, code enforcement, planning and development and zoning. There's a section of Meadowbrook, if you haven't ever heard of, it's not just Meadowbrook, but it's called the NEZ zone. It's Neighborhood Empowerment Zone, where the city is offering discounts and the opportunities. If you buy a house that's full of code violations, they will go in there and eliminate those if you're going to buy that house and fix it all up. So that's the kind of stuff that's in this zoning and planning and development section. You see all kinds of different information about services and neighborhoods and so forth. You can find out where the closest police station is and fire station and all that kind of stuff. Unfortunately, this is only in the city of Fort Worth. And I have no clue if there's anything in the other counties or cities or not. So if anybody's got any secret websites like this that you want to share, please do. I mean, this could be really important stuff to us. Okay. So back to the point was when you have a house that you can't find comps on, you have to put a little brain power into it. Go to the free sites, go to Zillow, go to eAppraisal, go to the county website. If you're using tools like Deal Machine or RealFlow, go pull the values out of there. A lot of people are using PropStream too, and that's not MLS data either. But use those numbers and then do some averages. Average out those estimated values. And then if at the end of the day, I would say be conservative when you make your offer on that house. Sometimes this business is not so easy. You may not have access to comps on everything. And that makes our life challenging when it comes to making the offers. So, and the other thing you can do is don't let it stop you from making the offer. Go make your offer and make sure you get sufficient option period to allow you sufficient time to go back and reevaluate. Once you've seen the house and you've got the offer accepted, go in and continue pulling comps where you can, and maybe go get some help, to pull up the estimated value and come to a better number, and try to fine tune your rehab estimates and stuff to really come up with what the best estimated value is of that property. So, and the other thing with mobile homes is, back of my form, I know you can't see it. Back on my form, right here, mobile home research. Go check this out. You can actually, and then you can also go to, it's one I don't even have on here. It's the NADA, NADA website. It's Kelly Blue Book. You've got a blue book for mobile homes and as well for cars, but you can go in there and you can actually do pay for a estimated value comps through that site, and that gives you a pretty good analysis of what a home. Yeah, you got to know the condition. You got to see it so that you can answer all the questions as you're going through and filling it out. It costs you $30-some, but I found the report to be very detailed. You do have to have make and model number and dimensions and stuff like that for that mobile home, but that will give you a lot of good information. And again, is it perfect? Maybe not, but it's the closest thing you're going to get to a set of comps for a mobile home. Totally different than it is for a house. Okay. So anyhow, I put all this together so that my assistant could go do all this research. So, is it in a flood zone? What's the insurance claims history? The comps, make notes. I have a place here for her to make any kind of miscellaneous notes of things that she found while she was going through it. This flip comp is a service you can get through RealFlow. I don't particularly like it. That's why I use Propelio, but it's just an alternative for me to go to when I find a situation where I find no comps. Code compliance. This is one you'll want to do, even outside of Fort Worth. Go find the county code compliance link for the city that you're working in and see if there's any kind of code violations against that house. You're going to want to know that from a cost perspective for you and what you got to go fix, but you can also use that in your story and your offer to the sellers. Registered sex offenders. You think that's going to be important when you're talking to the seller? You think you can use that to your benefit? Yes, the answer is yes. Here's some more free sites here. You can go do research on not only the house, but on the owners of the houses, going through all these different sites. Okay. So all this information is helpful for you to put together your story and your ideas on how you're going to approach the seller with your offer. Okay. You can also do rental comps, go to Renometer and Zillow for rent comps. You can do rent comps on Propelio. And then you can use other free services. I had to take some of my free services off here because they no longer are available. But HomeSnap is one of them. A lot of the different realtor sites, Zillow, you can use that stuff, but just know that they're free and you get what you pay for, right? When it's free. So just keep that in mind, that you want to use all that information. And if you know it's not true MLS data, then go in low, be conservative, go in low, and make sure that that's a part of your explanation and story to the seller when you're making that offer. The fact that there are no real comps on this home, and but based on the information available, here's what I can do. Does that help?
Yeah.
Okay. What kind of questions do you have for me on the comps analysis and value determination? The one thing I just want to emphasize here, remember, comps are not just about the number that it sold for, how much it sold for. It's not just about that number. You still have to remember to look at what the realtor wrote up on it about the house, what was done to the house, what kind of condition was it in, and hopefully you can see pictures on that house so you can see what was written, how does that look. You know, some houses may have work done, but it's just downright weird, and weirdness does not help sell a house. You know, something that's weird, if it's had multiple additions to it and stuff, you know, be careful with those. Don't go in with the top end in value when there's been a lot of weird additions added on, because that just makes it hard to sell. Your exit strategy is going to play into that, but you know, I would stay away from weirdness. It's kept me safe in the 23 years I've been doing this. So I would say don't get into any of those weird situations.
Hey Tim, this is Pablo. I got a quick question.
Sure.
So is any of the process different when you're looking at small multifamily other than just the single family residential?
My first comment is, you know, I'm not a multifamily guy. I've studied a lot of it in the early days, but the one thing that took me away from it was the fact that it takes a lot longer to do most multifamily deals. The due diligence process takes longer, and it was interfering with my single family home business because I didn't have somebody to still do that piece. So I stopped doing it. And so I'm not up to speed on doing the analysis. You're still going to need comps. And, you know, so you got to have access to comps tool, MLS, you know, to do that. And, you know, they, just like with single family homes, they have websites and software that will do that analysis for multifamily homes. So you're paying by the unit, by the door is the term they use. Otis has just recently went to a multifamily event and learned everything they had to teach. So he's probably more up to speed on it than me, but they're still going to look at comps. You still got to have that. You still got to look at the condition, the rehab costs, look at what the current rental value is per door versus what it could be. Is it below market value and so forth? You know, most investors are looking for a value add. In other words, they're looking for a B, C, or D type property, which means they need help. They're in bad areas and they need rehab and stuff to increase the value of the property. So those are all important things to look at, no matter multifamily or single family. The one thing we do have, since you're both new in the group, we do have a premium website upgrade that with the group. So you get a free site. Keith, you've got that free site, and you can do a premium upgrade for just like $20 some a month. And it gives you a bunch of tools. It gives you a deal analysis tool, a repair estimator tool, an offer generator, and a letter of intent generator. But in that repair estimation tool, it has rehab costs built right into it. They are default costs and you can edit all those. So, you know, I work on mine every time I do a rehab and I get a contractor estimate, I go back and put those costs in my software so that the next time I do an estimate, it's more accurate than it was in the last time. So that's something you might want to think about. You both will be getting invitations to watch those webinars. They do a live demo and stuff, and because would be coming through the West DFW REI group, they waive the setup fee. And so you get just the flat rate monthly cost on it, but it's a powerful tool. And it really helps me with doing my deals quickly. I mean, it's not an app, but it's mobile optimized. So you can walk through a house with I can't show you that, with your cell phone. I'm trying to show you a cell phone on Zoom camera. It's not working. But you can walk through the house with your phone, and you plug in rehab kitchen, rehab 2 bathrooms, rehab the roof, paint the exterior. You do all that, and you can walk out with a price, your rehab cost. It's a rough estimate, but then you can go fine tune it. So it helps you make offers quickly. And then during your option period, you have time to go and, fine tune that. So that's one thing. And then the other thing I'll tell you is that if you need a comps tool, and I know, Keith, your wife's a realtor, so you're good, but the Propelio tool is, we have a link on the group site that you can go sign up for Propelio. You get 2 weeks free, and then you get 50%. I'm sorry, you get 14 days free with 2 months at 50% discount. So you get a pretty good discount for Propelio, but there's a lot to Propelio. They not only do they do comps, there's a mobile driving for dollars app where you can go through neighborhoods and on your phone just pick off the addresses and stuff, and makes it easy to go back and do the analysis and stuff on those properties. And you can download lists. You can pull motivated seller lists from that app as well. But you might want to think about that. It's under the resources tab on the group website. I'll pop back over here real quick. Let's see here. If you come over here to the resources, local resources, and then scroll down here to Propelio. But if you go here and watch this demo, they do a really good demo on how the tool works and what it can do for you, and go watch that and see what you think. Okay. Really powerful tool. I use it every day in my business. So, okay. What other questions do we have? Did this help with determining true value? Remember, there's 2 different steps to this when you're pulling those comps. Are you looking for today's value or the after repaired value? So you want to be looking at those details on what's selling and what kind of condition it's in. And of course, the repair estimate, we didn't get into repairs today on repair cost analysis, but actually the 13 May event was just announced yesterday. If you haven't seen it, hopefully you can come. We're going to be talking about Rehab 101, the basics. We're going to be talking about Rehab 101, the basics, and how to do those basic analysis and repair estimates and so forth. So that'll be a good class to attend if you need help with that. So, all righty.
Thank you.
Any other questions at all?
No, but this was very helpful. Do appreciate it.
Good. Any questions, Keith?
No, it cemented some things I was doing right and added some things that I wasn't thinking about. So,
yep. And I mean, there is so much you can do. And, I'm always looking for other ways, other tools to use, to just try and get the best answer. This is not an exact science.
and Tim, the only thing I will say is because I have Maria to pull up on the MLS, the real flow comps aren't always very accurate what they give you.
I don't use them for determining value. I like the other data that it provides me with the AI scoring numbers. and it tells you what type of a seller it is, free and clear, absentee owner, things like that. So it just gives me additional information. And I lean more on it when I can find nothing. If
Okay.
I don't find real comps, I'm looking for numbers, right? I'm looking for anything that will help me try and get a feel for what it might be. So
Propelio for comps. What else other systems do you like to use?
I use Zillow as an alternate. I use the different realtor apps that are out there. Redfin is one that I look at quite a bit. Again, I'm looking at this stuff for data, not so much just the value. And I look at the county sites too. You know,
Will you
trying
be
to
able
look
to
at
send
history.
a copy of your Word doc with all the links?
I hesitate, but yes, I will share that. There's a lot of work in that document.
Okay, well, it
So,
would be greatly appreciated if you decide to. I understand if you don't.
yeah. Now you're using RealFlow, right?
Yeah, and I still feel like I'm trying to learn it. I'm figuring out holes in it.
There are holes. There's holes in any software though.
Yeah, and that seems to be like, okay, use this for this and use something else for something else. I think I was telling you about the foreclosures. Not good in RealFlow.
No,
You know.
don't use RealFlow for foreclosures and probates.
Okay.
And
Okay.
and the reason for that is there's a delay. You know, remember they're buying the data from other sources. So any delay in getting that data puts you, another day behind being one of the first people at the door, right? You want to be the first one at the door. So that's why you shouldn't use those two lead types in RealFlow because they're delayed. But the other lead sources I think are good, especially if you get the premium upgrade, the premium leads. They have a lot of different lead types. There's 18 different type of lead types in there.
I'm trying to figure out pre-foreclosures.
So I use Real Estate IQ for that.
You use who?
Real Estate IQ.
Real Estate IQ.
And you can use Propelio if you could only afford one or the other, then try Propelio. I mean, that you can pull motivated seller leads from there. But again, if you come back in, you can see the screen now, right? The resources page. Come back here to local resources and scroll down to right here. Deal finding tools. You've got, this is the Real Estate IQ tool right here.
Okay.
You got standard leads and you have premium leads. And these premium leads, you're going to want, this comes with skip trace. So when you use this code, you get 10% off, but they are skip trace. They provide you up to 5 emails and up to 5 cell phones.
So you don't use RealFlow's skip trace?
I have, but they only give you one.
Yeah, they just upgraded, but the software is not downloading. Their new skip trace is not downloading into their contacts correctly, and they're working on that.
Okay.
They'll give you, I think, 3 emails, multiple phone numbers, and family members.
Okay. So I've not even looked at it since when I found out. I tried it a while back and it was only one. So
Yeah.
I'm just used to the premium leads in Real Estate IQ. So that's what I use.
What's
Propelio,
the cost of the premium?
I'm sorry?
The premium leads, can you do just one lead and get the premium, or do you have to have a box set?
I think you can do this one.
Okay, because yeah, see, the RealFlow is they're behind. You have to get their quote unquote premium now, you have to have a minimum of 25 leads to pull.
See, when Real Estate IQ, you're not pulling them. They give you that So, you're not now you can do a batch request,
Mhm.
but the stuff they're giving you is motivated seller leads already skip traced.
Are they on the do not call list? Do they filter that as well?
It's been a long time since I read about what they're giving you, so I don't remember if that is or not.
Okay, all right.
I do
Thanks,
not
Tim. I
remember.
appreciate the help.
Yep. So keep an eye on your calendar invites. I'm going to be setting up a real flow class.
Okay,
And then I want to lead that into a real flow workshop, all day workshop. And we'll get into some live exercises on how I've learned to use real flow in my business, and maybe it'll help you too. So,
okay.
all right,
Perfect.
guys. Well, listen, I need to let you go. I am running late here. So hope this all helped.
It did.
And,
Thank you again.
Hopefully we'll see you on 13 May. I got to take a trip to Virginia next week, so I won't be here for the 6th of May. But the 13th, we'll be doing that rehab basics class. So,
Okay.
all righty. Take care.
Take care.